It is finally here. After 10 years, the Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord release broke out of Steam's early access dungeon into the open world of Calradia once again. Back since the first announcement in 2012, this is the day that we've all been waiting for. We had early access in March of 2020, but it wasn't quite as satisfying as we'd expect. But now, as of today, Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord is finally here. The full game is out. If you missed it, I've been streaming over on the Tailwars YouTube channels and of course the Steam store pages, having some fun with that full version. By the way, if you want to get the game, if for some reason you haven't, use my link below to get a massive 32% off using code LordRezo on Games Planet. And thank you to the members for making this video possible. If you want to get early access to my videos and full Let's Plays on games like Bannerlord, make sure you join the members club in the link below. So, what's new within the full release? Well, of course, the game is now out on console, Xbox and PlayStation, especially looking beautiful on the Series X and PS5. Battles have changed a little bit for those console versions, as the devs revealed during our streams yesterday that it will be 350 agents on field battles and 250 on sieges. Granted, that is somewhat smaller than the PC versions, of course. PC can go all the way up to 1,000 troops, but if you actually think about it, buying a PC at a similar price to those consoles, you're not getting more than 250 troops on the battlefield anyway, so I think it's fair. Even I can only get about 60 FPS at 4K when there's 1,000 troops on the battlefield, and that's a goddamn 3090. So yes, it's a little bit of a smaller battles on the console versions, but I don't think it's going to make really any difference to your experience. But speaking of pushing the boundaries, modders have really been doing this lately with custom servers. Some massive events have been going ahead, pushing multiplayer servers up to 500 players on at once, something that has never been done before in a Mount & Blade game. I mean, we had 150, then 200, then 250 on Mount & Blade Warband's custom servers in these massive line battles and siege events, but never have we gone above that. And I don't think it's even going to stop at 500. I think we can go even bigger with time. I mean, look at this video of this 500 player battle. Every single one of these people are a real person playing Mount & Blade all at once. The big thing I noticed about playing the full version yesterday is mainly the voice acting. It's now been fully added in, or at least it kind of has. I think on the most part, it actually worked pretty well, adding so much more to the immersion of the game and also giving way more personality to these lords and ladies that we've seen before and some people have weirdly simped over. But now they actually have proper personalities and actual voices, and it really adds to that. However, you do notice the more you play that some voice lines are clearly repeated and just used over and over again, from bandit bosses to lords, and it does break you out of that immersion just a little bit, but hopefully that will change later down the line. Speaking of later down the line, Tailwars were kind enough to reveal that whilst this is the full version of Mount & Blade 2, this isn't actually the end of all the updates. Not only will, of course, patches and fixes carry on, but even more content down the line. But exactly what that means, we don't quite know yet. I personally would love to see things like ship travel and ship-to-ship combat, much like we saw in a Viking Conquest. I know there's many people, especially as I was streaming yesterday, saying, "Why isn't there co-op yet?" And believe me, I wish there was. But unfortunately, I'm not sure that's coming anytime soon, especially not in an official capacity. If you want to see my reasoning behind that, go and check out this video about Bannerlord co-op. But there may be some mods on the way, like the Bannerlord co-op mod, so don't be too despaired right now. Once more, we have new added scenes, not only into towns and cities, but the field battles and maps as well, expanding upon that battle terrain system. It's incredibly satisfying playing more and more bridge battles and choke pointing areas, or playing outside the town walls and seeing the cities in the background as you're fighting and chopping men down left, right, and center. It really makes all the difference when you're planning attacks and choosing where you want to fight these battles. Banners are now a massive feature. They're not just the namesake of this game, but they're actually one of the biggest things that you should be focusing on in the mid to late game. There are 3 tiers of banners and over 45 banners within these 3 tiers. Of course, you can equip the tiers that are concurrent to what your level is at that time, but we did touch on these a little bit in the 1.9 beta update video, but let's go into it a little bit more. You will find these banners by completing certain tasks, attacking hideouts, killing bandits, killing nobles, so on and so forth. The more you kill, the more banners you get. These can give you buffs and advantage on the battlefield, anything from protection against arrows or being stronger with your projectile troops, having more maneuverability or having more morale with your infantry. There's so many different add-ons and things that can change the way your battles go, depending on the banners that you bring to said battles. As mentioned, there is tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, all having better and better buffs as we go along. AI can also equip and use these banners, however. You might see them fighting on the battlefield on the other team. Nobles can use tier 1, clan leaders can use tier 2, and faction leaders can use tier 3 banners, all giving them more and more advantages when it comes to fighting. You can equip these banners to NPCs that you have in your party, and they will show up as banners on units. You can see banner bearers carrying them around, and not only does it add to the battles aesthetically, really immersing you within this medieval chaos, but also they actually will affect the units around them. However, if that banner bearer goes down, if they're slayed on the field, they will drop it, thus cancelling those buffs. However, other troops will pick up those banners if they see one on the floor, or at least try to. But if they don't, you can also pick up a banner yourself and hold it out to rally your men and make those buffs work once more. On a more technical level, when it comes to spawning in reinforcements, you know, when 2 armies clash on the field, but the game doesn't support 1,500 men, so they have to be spawned in waves, well, that's actually being changed and customized here. Not only will it be a bit smarter with updating and bringing in waves when they're needed to in the correct spawn locations, and of course reinforcing the units that need the most reinforcement, you can actually set how many waves you want. By default, it'll be set to unlimited, so it will keep bringing in reinforcements until it can no longer bring in any more agents. But you can set it from 5 down to 4, even down to 3 reinforcement waves. So if you don't want all your men being brought in, maybe just for optimization reasons, because you don't want that many troops, or tactically because, I don't know, you might want to save some lads to just not bring them into the battle this time so they don't get injured, that can now be done. Not only can the player have way more customization, but the campaign AI has improved to another level. Party priorities are way more substantial now. Of course, when you form another party, you give an NPC some troops to go around, do some raiding, trading, diplomacy, fighting, whatever. You can set them to be defensive, neutral, or aggressive. Defensive, they will stay solely within your territory, defending from oncoming raiders and taking out bandits that are in the way, defending your villages. Or aggressive, they will actively go out and search for other people to kill, and of course, raid and attack enemy locations and territory, just adding to that extra micromanagement that you can do with not only your NPCs but the armies that they command. Speaking of NPCs will now approach you with propositions. Notifications will come up on the right hand side of your screen saying, hey, look, we want to propose a marriage, or do you want this city, or do you want to be an ally? They will come to you over and over again with certain things, even down to just mercenary jobs. We've got this job for you, do you want to take it? It pays £10 an hour, it's better than McDonald's, you might as well go for it. That kind of thing. It's basically everything you can do when you go up to propose and ask questions to a lord or a lady, but they can now do it to you. This really helps creating that living and breathing world that Bannerlord has strived to create over its last few years. This is all quite exciting, but there have been a few drawbacks to this full release. Of course, reports of many of the established mods in Mount and Blade are now unusable. It's a bit of a shame, but it is kind of expected. Every time a big patch comes out, pretty much all of the mods end up breaking, and you have to either track back your version of Bannerlord or just wait until the modders come in and say, look, it's now updated for this version. And I think this full release, since it is such a big cutoff point, will do it for the majority of modifications. So if your mods aren't working, don't fret. I'm sure they will be fixed very, very soon, but you might have to start many of your playthroughs over again, unfortunately. But that's pretty much it. Bannerlord is now here, and it is incredibly exciting. I have a full video coming out on the entire history of Mount & Blade. It is my biggest video ever, so make sure you stick around the channel for that. But once again, make sure you join the membership club on this channel, as I'm running a full playthrough of Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord, and use code LORDREZO on Games Planet if you haven't got the game already for the biggest discount that you can get for Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord. Games Planet were so kind to give me a personal discount code to give you an extra few percentage off. You're welcome, you filthy animals. But if you're not interested in that, go and enjoy the game anyway, because Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord is finally here.